So even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal.
That's how whiteness works. Whiteness is the most violent fucking system to ever breathe.
For people that don't know what's going on, let's lay out all the events that have transpired.
The core of it surrounds a tradition that we have at Evergreen called Day of Absence. This tradition stretches back into, I think, the early 70s. And it's built around a play written by Douglas Turner Ward, a black playwright. And the play portrays events in a fictional town where the black population decides not to show up one day in order to emphasize their roles in the town that the white population is unaware of. And as you would imagine, all hell breaks loose. Some early faculty at our college decided that we should have a day that mirrored this event, and that originally black faculty and students, and then later people of color, would leave campus for a day to emphasize the role that they play in our community. And then this year, it was announced by the organizing committee that the situation would be reversed, and they asked white student, staff, and faculty not to come to campus. And that did not at all sit well with me.
This is what fear looks like. When you got your back against the wall because your fucking student body, who is the most powerful motherfuckers on this campus. These racist teachers ain't got to go. Hey, hey. These racist teachers ain't got to go. These racist teachers ain't got to go. Hey, hey. These racist teachers ain't got to go. Hey, hey. Teachers ain't got to go. Hey, hey. These racist teachers ain't got to go. Hey, hey. Ain't got to go. Hey, hey. These racist teachers ain't got to go. Hey, hey.
In my letter, I said that there was all the difference in the world between a population deciding to absent themselves from a shared space in order to highlight their role, and a population deciding to absent another population from a shared space, which I find unacceptable as a person, as somebody devoted to the gains of the civil rights movement. I should also probably say, as a Jew, when people start telling me where I can and cannot be, it rings alarm bells.
Speak on. This is not about you.
I'm talking.
We're not speaking
all about him.
On terms of white privilege. This is not a discussion. You have lost that one.
I am talking about terms that serve the truth. Those are the terms.
House of dialectic. You said some racist shit. Can you apologize?
I did not. Okay. You don't know.
The letter caused quite a stir amongst student, staff, and faculty, who responded, many of them quite angrily. I did go to campus, as I said I would in my letter.
Because you rightly said that you think there's a huge problem with asking people to not show up simply based on their color of their skin.
Exactly.
And what was the argument against that? Like when you said that, and I read your letter, and your letter didn't sound racist at all. It sounded very well thought out. It made a very good point.
In return for exercising his right to free speech, Weinstein was last week accosted by a mob of 50 students who said he was racist. Instead of giving Weinstein his backing, college president George Bridges praised the student protesters, saying they were courageous. Bridges ordered campus police to stand down and then told Weinstein they could no longer guarantee his safety on campus. A swastika and graffiti calling for Weinstein's resignation appeared, and the professor was forced to hold his classes in the park. What's more, in a Facebook post, race-baiting Evergreen professor Naima Lowe called Weinstein's wife Heather Haying a racist. Haying is also an academic at the college, and Lowe appeared to suggest that white allies should remove her from campus.
Well, there's also a really disturbing idea that's being bounced around lately that it's impossible to be racist if you're anything other than white.
Right.
Which is ridiculous.
It's preposterous. Anybody who looks up the actual definition of racism will discover that that's preposterous. But yes, that does pass in certain places as logical.
Yeah, and just it's parroted in this very bizarre way that's supposed to be unchallenged. And this is a fairly recent thing. I mean, this is not something that existed 2 decades ago.
Did you just stop for it? Watch yourself. That's not appropriate. You gotta put your hands down. You know you gotta put your hands down.
Yes, Ike!
It's a standard maneuver when someone wants to silence someone, when someone wants to put someone in a category that's instantly recognizable. One of the best ones is racist.
That many of the terms that are being used have been redefined, but they haven't been fully redefined. So one of the things that I've seen in several places is that a term like racist has been redefined so that the bar for being a racist is so low that you couldn't possibly help but trip over it. But then once you've tripped over it and you have accepted that you are a racist, then the stigma goes back to the original definition. So it is the dodging and weaving between the two definitions that actually does the heavy lifting. The pace at which it's moving in the last few years is very surprising.
It is surprising, but it kind of makes sense because you get into these groups of people. They have this confirmation bias. They lump up together and they all reinforce their ideas in this echo chamber. And they all do it inside the colleges. And then when it gets out to the rest of the world, as we're seeing with your case at Evergreen, the rest of the world's like, what is going on over here? Like, what is happening in school?
Could you lower those signs, please? I have some very sad news for all of you, and that is that Martin Luther King was shot and was killed tonight in Memphis. Martin Luther King dedicated his life to love and to justice between fellow human beings. He died in the cause of that effort. In this difficult day, in this difficult time for the United States, it's perhaps well to ask what kind of a nation we are and what direction we want to move in greater polarization, black people amongst blacks, and white amongst whites, filled with hatred toward one another. Or we can make an effort, as Martin Luther King did, to understand that the vast majority of white people and the vast majority of black people in this country want to live together, want to improve the quality of our life, and want justice for all human beings that abide in our land. And want to dedicate ourselves to what the Greeks wrote so many years ago, to tame the savageness of man and make gentle the life of this world.